Miranda Ragsdale didn't see a human being. She saw a glitch in the scenery. She stood over Michael Gonzalez while he was on his knees in the mud. Well, not mud exactly, but you get the picture. Her heels were inches from his grease-stained knuckles in that pristine showroom, and she told her daughter something I'll never forget. "Look at him, Erica. That's what a lack of ambition looks like. He's a warning, not a person." She didn't know that in exactly 12 hours, that warning would be holding the only key to her survival. And here's what gets me about this story. We've all been Michael. We've all been looked down on by someone who confused their bank account with their worth. But how many of us were hiding the kind of secret Michael was? Because what Miranda didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know while she mocked him on that showroom floor, was that the man she was stepping over wasn't just a mechanic. He was the son of the architect who built the very ground her empire stood on. Before we continue, please tell us where in the world you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. It reminds us that hope and second chances are universal languages. Let me take you back 18 hours before that showroom humiliation. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday when Michael Gonzalez saw the brake lights flashing in his rear-view mirror. He was bone-tired, the kind of exhaustion that settles into your shoulders after a 14-hour shift. His daughter's tuition payment was due in 3 days, and he was still $600 short. The smart thing, the safe thing, would have been to keep driving. But Michael never was good at doing the smart thing. The girl standing beside the smoking BMW was maybe 19, 20 tops. Designer jacket, phone in one hand, but you could see she didn't know who to call. This was Riverside Avenue, the kind of neighborhood where nice cars attracted the wrong kind of attention after dark. "Pop the hood," Michael said, already pulling his toolbox from the trunk. Her name was Erica Ragsdale, though he wouldn't learn that until later. Right then, she was just a scared kid whose engine had seized up in the worst possible place. "It's the timing belt," Michael explained, his hands already moving with the kind of precision that comes from 30 years of practice. "Someone sold you a fake part. See this edge here? Real manufacturer stamps it with serial code. 3 hours. That's how long it took to rebuild her engine with parts he pulled from his salvage stock. Parts he could have sold for triple the price." But watching Erica's hands stop shaking as the engine roared back to life, that was worth more than money. "What do I owe you?" she asked, pulling out a wallet that probably cost more than his monthly rent. "Your safety isn't for sale," Michael said. Then he did something that would change everything. He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a small wooden keychain. Hand-carved, intricate, a mechanical gear that actually turned when you twisted it. "My dad taught me to make these," he explained. "It's a reminder. Every gear matters, even the ones you can't see." Erica stared at it like he'd handed her a diamond. She didn't know she was holding a perfect 1:100 scale model of something that would soon become very, very important. What Michael didn't tell her, he'd been watching her mother's construction project from his shop window for 18 months. Every morning, he'd see that glass tower climbing higher into the sky, swallowing the neighborhood block by block. Gonzalez and Son Precision Auto was the last holdout, a grease-stained middle finger to progress. And every morning, he'd notice something the high-priced engineers apparently missed. The building was sinking, just millimeters at first, then centimeters. The foundation's dampening system, The invisible gears that kept the whole thing stable. They were failing. He carved that gear as a warning he never intended to deliver. Because who listens to mechanics about architecture? As Erica drove away that night, Michael had no idea he'd just saved the daughter of the woman who'd been systematically destroying his life. But he was about to find out. The next morning started like any other. Michael arrived at the dealership at 6 a.m. sharp for a pre-delivery inspection. It was side work he did to make ends meet, checking vehicles before wealthy clients took delivery. Honest work. Invisible work. The kind of work people like Miranda Ragsdale never noticed until something went wrong. She arrived at 9 a.m. in a suit that cost more than his truck. I want you to picture this moment. Michael was on his knees, checking suspension on her new vehicle. His hands were doing what they'd done 10,000 times before, ensuring safety, confirming quality, making sure every part worked in harmony. Miranda walked right past him like he was part of the furniture. Then she saw Erica walking in and everything shifted. "Where were you last night?" Miranda's voice could have cut glass. "I told you, Mom. The car broke down. And I'm supposed to believe you couldn't call a tow truck? That you disappeared for 4 hours because of a mechanical issue?" Miranda's laugh was sharp. "Do you know what this looks like? The daughter of Miranda Ragsdale stranded in Riverside like some..." That's when Erica held up the gear. "He helped me, Mom. This man right here." She pointed at Michael, still on his knees beside the SUV. "He spent 3 hours fixing my engine. He wouldn't even take payment." The look on Miranda's face, I wish you could have seen it. It wasn't gratitude. It wasn't appreciation. It was something between disgust and calculation, like she just discovered a servant had touched her daughter. She turned to Michael, really looked at him for the first time, and I'm telling you, the contempt in her eyes was almost physical. "You're Michael Gonzalez," she said. "Not a question. A classification." "Yes, ma'am. Gonzalez and Son Precision. Lot 447, Riverside Avenue." Again, not a question. She pulled a folded document from her briefcase and dropped it on the floor beside his hand. Actually dropped it, like handing it to him would have been beneath her. "Consider this your final notice. You have 30 days to vacate. The property has been acquired through eminent domain. The city agrees that progress is more important than..." She gestured vaguely at him. "Whatever this is..." Then she did the thing that would haunt her. She put her phone on speaker and turned to Erica. "Look at him, Erica. That's what a lack of ambition looks like. He's a warning, not a person. You want to end up on your knees in someone else's building? No? Then you study harder. You become the person people kneel for, not the person doing the kneeling." Michael said nothing. And here's what kills me about that moment. His silence wasn't weakness. It was something more powerful. It was dignity that didn't need defending, because he knew something Miranda didn't. He knew her tower was falling apart, and as she walked away, heels clicking on that pristine showroom floor, Michael glanced at the wooden gear still in Erica's hand. The girl met his eyes, and in that split second, something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or prophecy, because in exactly 7 hours, Miranda Ragsdale's world was going crack. If you are listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I would not even reach 300 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these tales matter. Please subscribe to this channel by hitting the subscribe button. You can also turn on the notification bell to be updated when a new video is posted. And let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now let's continue. 4:47 p.m. Summit Tower. 43 stories of glass and steel, and Miranda, Ragsdale's legacy. The first crack appeared in the underground parking structure. Just a hairline fracture in the concrete, barely visible. But the structural engineer who found it, his face went white. By 5:15 p.m., the building's smart dampening system, the millions of dollars worth of technology designed to keep the tower stable, started throwing error codes. Not just one or two, hundreds, cascading failures spreading through the foundation like a virus. By 6 p.m., the entire top-floor executive suite could feel it, that subtle, nauseating sway that shouldn't exist in a building this new, this expensive, this perfect. Miranda stood in the emergency engineering meeting and listened to words that made no sense. The dampening system is catastrophic. We've never seen failures like this. The original city foundation blueprints don't match our surveys. There's a secondary system underneath, something from the old construction era that our plans didn't account for. If we can't stabilize this in the next 48 hours, we're looking at a potential collapse. And the grand opening is in 72 hours. $900 million. 3 years of construction. Her entire reputation. All of it swaying in the wind like a house of cards. Who designed the original foundation? Miranda demanded. Who built the old city infrastructure in this sector? The lead engineer pulled up a file. According to records, the original municipal foundation work was designed by Gonzalez, Ricardo Gonzalez, back in 1987. The room went quiet. Gonzalez, Miranda's voice was hollow. Like, common name, right? Lots of Gonzalezes in the city. That's when Erica walked in, the gear keychain hanging from her finger. She'd been fidgeting with it all day, twisting it, watching the tiny mechanisms move with impossible precision. She'd been studying mechanical engineering at MIT. Her mother's insistence, though Erica had wanted to study art, and something about the gear had been nagging at her. The tolerances were too perfect, the scale too specific. "Mom," Erica said quietly, holding up the gear, "I think you need to see this." She laid it on the conference table next to the structural diagrams of Summit Tower's dampening system. The resemblance wasn't just close. It was exact. A perfect 1:100 scale model of the proprietary joint system that was currently failing 43 stories above them. "Where did you get this?" the chief engineer whispered, picking it up like it was explosive. "The mechanic," Erica said, "the one you served the eviction notice to this morning. He carved it, by hand." The room erupted, questions flying. But Miranda just stared at that tiny wooden gear, and I imagined what was running through her mind. The man I called a warning. The man I mocked in front of my daughter. The man I told the world wasn't person. He'd known. He'd been watching her building fail for months. And instead of calling, instead of demanding money or leverage, he'd carved a warning into wood and given it to her daughter. The lead engineer's voice cut through the chaos. Ricardo Gonzalez had a son, Michael. If he inherited his father's knowledge of the old city systems, he's the only one who can save this, Miranda finished. The words tasted like poison. He's the only one who knows how the original foundation works. Erica met her mother's eyes. He's at his shop, probably packing, since he has 30 days to get out. And here's the thing about pride. It's expensive. Miranda had built an empire on never bowing to anyone, on being the person others bowed to. But empires don't mean much when they're falling. She had to go back to that grease-stained shop, had to ask for help from the man she'd humiliated 6 hours earlier, had to admit that the warning she dismissed was actually the only person who could save her. The real question wasn't whether she'd do it. Pride shatters pretty quick when you're facing $900 million in losses. The real question was, would Michael help her after what she'd done? Miranda's Mercedes looked obscene parked outside Gonzalez and sun precision, like a diamond ring in a toolbox. It was 7:30 p.m. Michael was under a 2003 Honda Civic, changing the oil for Mrs. Chun from down the street. $40 job. The kind of work that didn't show up in economic reports or development plans. The kind of work that kept neighborhoods running. He heard the car door, heard the heels on concrete, didn't bother getting up. I need to speak with Michael Gonzalez. Miranda's voice, controlled, but you could hear the cracks. He's busy, came the reply from under the car. Take a number. I want you to imagine this moment. Miranda Ragsdale, CEO of a billion-dollar development corporation, sitting on a plastic crate in a garage that smelled like oil and honest work. Waiting. Actually waiting while Michael finished Mrs. Chen's service. He took his time. Not to be cruel, that wasn't Michael's way, but because Mrs. Chen depended on that Civic. Because a $40 oil change mattered just as much as a $900 million tower. Maybe more. When he finally emerged, wiping his hands on a red shop rag, he looked at Miranda the same way you'd look at any customer. No anger, no satisfaction, just acknowledgement. What can I do for you, Ms. Ragsdale? My building is sinking. Direct. No preamble. The dampening system is failing. My engineers say it's because of the original city foundation, the one your father designed. They say you're the only person who might know how to fix it. Michael nodded slowly. Your engineers are probably right. I'm prepared to pay you. Significantly. I'm sure you are. The silence stretched. Outside, the city hummed. Inside, everything balanced on what came next. You knew, Miranda said finally. You knew my building was unstable. You carved that gear. You've been watching it fail. For 18 months, Michael confirmed. The sinking started small. Most people wouldn't notice. But I know my father's work. I know what it looks like when those old systems start to give out. And you said nothing. You could have called, could have warned us. Would you have listened? Michael's voice was quiet but sharp. Would the woman who dropped an eviction notice at my feet while I was working? The woman who told her daughter I wasn't a person? Would that woman have taken a call from a greased monkey? Miranda flinched. Actually flinched. I gave your daughter a warning, Michael continued. A warning you were too busy being superior to notice. I don't force help on people who don't want it. Ms. Ragsdale, I offer it. There's a difference. I'm offering you $2 million, Miranda said. Cash, plus you keep your property. No eviction. Full ownership in perpetuity. $2 million. Michael set down the shop rag. For what? My expertise? Or your ego? Both, Miranda admitted. And here's where I saw something shift in her. The first crack in the armor. I was wrong. About you. About what I said. I judged a book by its cover and nearly got crushed by my own building because of it. Nearly? We have 38 hours before the grand opening. If we can't stabilize the tower by then, I lose everything. More importantly, if it collapses, people could die. The parking structure, the retail floors, there are already workers in there. Michael picked up the wooden gear. Turn it slowly. You're not here for you. You're here for them. I'm here for all of it, Miranda said. For the building, for my company, for my pride. But yes, mostly because I can't live with the thought of people dying, because I was too arrogant to listen to a mechanic. And that's when Michael made a decision that would change both of them. Michael didn't go to Summit Tower for the money. He went because his father had taught him something Miranda was about to learn. Buildings are like people. The invisible parts matter most. Ricardo Gonzalez had designed the city's foundation in an era before computers, before smart systems. He'd built mechanical dampening using principles that went back centuries, counterweights, tension systems, synchronized joints that move with the earth rather than against it. Summit Tower's engineers had built on top of it without understanding it. They'd added their modern systems and assumed the old ones were obsolete. They were wrong. Your dampening system isn't failing, Michael explained, standing in the parking structure surrounded by Miranda's high-priced team. It's fighting. You build a digital system on top of an analog one. They're working against each other. He pointed to a massive joint hidden behind a false wall. My father built these to flex. Yours are designed to resist. When the earth shifts, and it shifts every day, micro-movements you can't feel, your system tries to hold rigid while it tries to move. Eventually, something gives. So we remove the old system, one of the engineers suggested. And the building collapses in 3 hours, Michael said flatly. No, we synchronize them. We teach your new system to dance with the old one. What happened over the next 36 hours was a masterclass in humility. And I'm not just talking about Miranda's. Those high-priced engineers with their Ivy League degrees, they became students. Michael taught them how to read building movement by feel, how to understand stress and materials without a computer telling them. He showed them that the old ways weren't primitive. They were fundamental. And he did it without ego, without revenge, without making anyone feel small. Miranda watched him work, really watched him, saw the precision in his hands, the depth of knowledge in every adjustment. She thought expertise wore suits and carried credentials. She'd never considered it might wear coveralls and carry a torque wrench. On hour 29, the building stabilized. The sway stopped. The two systems, analog and digital, old and new, found their rhythm. The engineers cheered. Miranda's team prepared for grand opening. Everything was saved. But Michael wasn't done. I don't want your money, Michael said when Miranda tried to hand him the check. Keep the property deed. I'll take that. But the cash? No. $2 million and you're refusing it. I don't need to be paid for saving lives, Ms. Ragsdale. That's not what this was about. He glanced toward the shop door, where Erica was waiting. But I will take one thing. Name it. Your daughter. 3 hours a week. I teach her real mechanical engineering. Not the theory, the practice, the feel of it. Miranda stared at him. You want to teach my daughter to be a mechanic? I want to teach your daughter to understand how things work from the ground up, Michael corrected. The towers you build, they stand on foundations. Those foundations run on principles older than computers. If she's to design buildings someday, she should know what holds them up. And here's the beautiful part. Erica jumped at it. For 12 weeks, she came to that shop, learned to diagnose engines by sound, rebuilt transmissions, studied the geometry of gears and the physics of leverage. She got grease under her nails and calluses on her palms. She also learned something her expensive education had never taught her: the difference between intelligence and wisdom, between credentials and competence, between looking down on someone and actually seeing them. On the last day of her apprenticeship, Michael gave her another carved gear. "This one's different," he said. "You made it." Erica looked at the tiny wooden piece. Imperfect, rough, but functional. She'd carved it herself under his guidance. "The first one I gave you was a warning," Michael explained. "This one's a reminder. Every tower, every empire, every achievement, it all rests on gears most people never see. The work that matters isn't always the work that shows. Remember that." 6 months later, Summit Tower hosted its awards ceremony. Miranda accepted recognition for the year's most innovative building design. During her speech, she did something no one expected. She invited Michael onto the stage. "This tower stands because a man I dismissed as irrelevant turned out to be essential," she told the audience. "I learned something from him that business school never taught me. Prestige isn't the same as value. A title isn't the same as knowledge. And the people we look down on sometimes are the only ones who can lift us up." She presented him with a plaque. Michael smiled politely, accepted it, and in his brief remarks said something that stuck with me. "We live in a world that celebrates architects and forgets the foundation, that applauds a tower and ignores the gears. But nothing stands without what's underneath. No one succeeds alone. And the moment you think you're above needing people, that's the moment you start to sink." The truth is, Michael never needed Miranda's validation. He knew his worth before she acknowledged it. But Miranda, she needed that lesson. Needed to learn that the hierarchy she'd built her life on was an illusion. Real power isn't found in who you can look down on. It's found in who you can't live without. Dignity isn't a job title. It's a frequency. And if you don't respect the hands that build your world, don't be surprised when that world starts to lean. Erica graduated from MIT with honors. She turned down positions at 5 major firms. Instead, she opened a consulting company specializing in sustainable architecture that honors both old systems and new technology. Her business card lists 2 addresses: her office in Summit Tower and Gonzalez and Son Precision Auto, because she learned what her mother almost destroyed. Every gear matters, especially the ones you can't see. So here's the real question. Did you subscribe yet? Thousands of people will listen to this story and won't subscribe. Please don't be that person. Kindly support what I do here by subscribing, and then drop in the comment section your thoughts on this story. Have you ever been underestimated because of your job or appearance? Have you ever been the person doing the underestimating? Let me know what this story made you think about. What challenged you? What changed your perspective?